What's going on, guys? This is Vince with vshred.com, and in today's video I'm going to show you a quick routine that you can do to help fix your low back pain. So like I said, today's video is just going to be all about a routine that you can do from home, at the gym, before you work out, after you work out, whenever, if you're experiencing low back pain. And I will put a disclaimer in here: if you do have a pre-existing back condition and you have some kind of injury, you're recovering from it, or maybe you just don't know what's going on, make sure you're checking with your doctor just to make sure that you don't have some injury that's building up, because this routine is not just going to work for people who have serious conditions going on with their back, but for those of you who are just experiencing low back pain. Maybe it hurts when you put your socks on, or you wake up in the morning and when you go to walk or anything like that, or just bend over, your low back hurts and you don't know why, and it feels like your muscles are being pinched. This is all going to come down to, usually 9 times out of 10, a set of muscle imbalances. And I'm just going to cover the most common ones and teach you how to loosen up the right muscles, activate the right muscles, so that you can help to get rid of it and just go about your day without low back pain. Because we all know, if you have low back pain, it sucks and there's no escaping it. And whether you're sitting, laying, no matter what you do, you need to do exercises and strengthen right areas and loosen up the right areas so that it goes away naturally. So with low back pain, the most common reasons that you are probably experiencing it, like I said, is going to be muscle imbalances. And the most common ones, and the ones that I'm going to be covering how to fix today, is going to be tight quads, weakened hamstrings and glutes, and then also a weakened diaphragm. Now, going into the quads and the glutes first, because that is something that I've personally dealt with. And once I realized this, it helped me tremendously, because what's happening is your pelvis is probably being pulled forward a little bit. If you've ever heard the term anterior pelvic tilt, I've actually made a video all about this. I'll put you see this white thing going right here. I'll link the video right there if you want to learn all about anterior pelvic tilt. But basically, it's when you are standing. Anytime you stand, you basically have a frontwards tilt of your pelvis. I'll pull my pants up, or my shirt up right here. That's a neutral stance right there. My pelvis is neutral. Anterior tilt is going to be like that. Your belly is going to be kind of sticking out without having a belly. Your butt's going to be sticking out without having maybe have a butt, but it's going to be sticking out more. And what's happening here is, because this is in a forward tilted position, this is going to be due to the quad muscles in the front here being overly tight and usually overly dominant. So if you do a squat or something where you're supposed to feel it mostly in your glutes, you probably feel it more in your quads because they're so dominant. And then what's also happening with these tightened quad muscles, you're going to have weakened hamstring and glute muscles. And so when people try to warm up or loosen up their back muscle or try to get rid of that back pain, they usually stretch their hamstrings or their glutes, and that is the opposite, because they are already elongated. You want to focus on pre-stimulating, pre-activating your glutes. You want to roll out your quads. That's going to help that anterior tilt just slowly start to neutralize itself, so that you're not having those back muscles being pinched back here. Instead, they're going to be in a nice neutral position. So that's the first thing that I'm going to cover. And then also, I'm going to talk about diaphragmatic breathing. If you've never heard this term, it's very important that you understand exactly what it is. Your diaphragm is a horizontal muscle in your body, basically right at the bottom of your rib cage, and it is responsible for helping your lungs fill with air and just how you breathe. And if you're not actually using your diaphragm when you breathe, because your lungs aren't a muscle, your lungs are basically expanded and compressed due to your diaphragm. So when you inhale, that's your diaphragm helping it pull in, and it's helping your rib cage expand. And then when you exhale, your rib cage is compressing. And so what happens is, people don't really understand that they need to take these deep breaths. They need to breathe into their belly rather than their chest. It's actually called chest breathers. People who basically have this shortness of breath, and they feel like they can't get this big breath, and then also they don't exhale all the way ever, and this is what's going to be causing bad posture, and it's also just going to be causing this chest. Your breathing is going to be going on up here rather than your whole body, because if it's not going on your whole body, you're going to have tension down here in the lower half, which is going to cause that low back pain. So I'm going to get into these right now. The first thing is going to be the diaphragmatic breathing. This is the first thing I do before all of my workouts. Doesn't matter if I'm hitting legs, doesn't matter if I'm hitting chest, back, shoulders, doesn't matter. I do this every single day. So what you want to do is, first off, you want to understand exactly how this breathing is going to go. And so what you want to do is make sure that you are breathing in through your nose, and you want to go as deep of a breath as you can, and you really want to focus on filling your belly with air rather than breathing into your chest. You want to focus on going all the way down. That way you're getting your lungs completely full, you're getting your rib cage completely expanded, and then when you breathe out, you want to breathe out through your mouth as if you are you're basically blowing into a balloon. I would actually recommend getting a balloon and putting it in your mouth and blowing the balloon up as you exhale, because this is going to show you what it means to really exhale the right way and get every single last bit of breath out of your lungs, because when you do that properly, you're going to feel a nice relief of stress going on in your lower back. So with that in mind, let's get into this. First thing, you want to make sure that your hands on the ground are completely spread out, your fingers are spread out. From here, you want to outward, externally rotate your shoulders, and then you're gonna drop back on your feet. So your butt is gonna go down to your feet. This is called child pose. And then you're gonna go from here, and you're going to try to get your tips of your fingers as far away from the toes of your feet. So you're gonna press those as far away as possible, and then from here, you're gonna do that diaphragmatic breathing. So you're gonna go out, you're gonna breathe in through your nose, as big as you can, and you're going to breathe out through your mouth as if you are breathing, or you're blowing into a balloon. So and just with that, I felt a nice little contraction going on in my abs, because your abs are what are responsible for exhalation. So when you exhale forcefully like that, you're going to be activating your abs, which is therefore going to be loosening up the lower back muscles. And another thing is, you want to always make sure that your pelvis you want to make sure that you are you're thrusting through your butt all the time to keep that pelvic neutral position. So child pose, you're going to do 10 breaths for 3 different sets, depending on how bad your lower back pain is. You can go 5 breaths, 3 sets, or you can go 10 breaths, 3 sets. And then from there, what you're gonna do is actually, so you're gonna go child's pose first, and then from here, you're actually going to come up, and you're going to come into a tabletop position right here. And then we're gonna do what are known as cat-cows with diaphragmatic breathing. So here, what you wanna do is make sure that your shoulder is directly above your hand, and you wanna make sure your knee is directly above or directly below your hips, and that your knees are shoulder width apart, as well as your hands, again, fingers spread out. Then you're going to externally rotate your shoulders, so you're not like this, you are externally rotating them. And then from there, you are going to make sure that your back is in a neutral position. You're not like this, you're not like this. You're in a neutral position, you're trying to tuck your belly button in a little bit here. And then we're gonna implement the exhalation as we go into a cat, and we're going to go with an inhalation as we go into a cow. So the whole emphasis here is to get as much breath out of your lungs as possible, and as you do that, you want to drive your belly button up to the ceiling, and that is going to allow a nice contraction in your abs, which is going to relieve a lot of pressure going on your lower back. So from here, I'm going to show you how to do it. So get that. So externally rotate your shoulders, make sure they're pressed down, and then from here, you're going to breathe out, or you're going to breathe in through your nose, get a full breath, and then breathe out through your mouth as if you're blowing into a balloon, and go into a cow, making sure that you are rolling your belly button up to the sky. And that's all it does. And so what you do is you do that 5 breaths, 5 full breaths, or you can do 10 full breaths. And every single time you do that, you should feel a deep contraction going on in your abs. And if you're not feeling that deep contraction, you're not blowing out enough. You should literally not be able to blow any more air out of your lungs. Even if you were going to be paid $1,000, you should be out of air completely. And you should also try to roll the middle of your body up to the ceiling as much as possible. You don't want to roll with your upper back. You want to make sure that your upper back is, your shoulders are rolled back still, and it's all going with your low back right here. and that's going to help relieve some stress. And the third diaphragmatic breathing exercise, after we've just been in this tabletop position and doing these cat cows, is we're gonna stay in this position, but we're actually going to open up our body to the side. So you're still gonna do the same thing with the breathing, and as you're gonna breathe out as you go into it, but instead of going into cat cows, you're gonna make sure that you are staying in that neutral position right there. So instead of just sitting like this, you're gonna make sure that your belly button is tucked and it's nice and tight right there. You're gonna make sure that your back is nice and flat. You're going to externally rotate your shoulders, roll them back, press them down. From here, what you're gonna do is the same thing I've been talking about with the breathing. You're gonna breathe in big through your nose, and then you're going to bring your hand up to your head. You're gonna point your elbow straight to the ground, and then from here, you're going to actually keep this other shoulder, really focus on keeping this other shoulder rolled back. I'll show you a little more from the front on. Really focus on keeping this shoulder rolled back. Point that elbow down, and then you're gonna breathe in big, and then you're gonna breathe out like you're breathing into a balloon still. So forcefully exhaling through your mouth every last ounce of breath, and you're going to inhale and exhale as much as you can while turning that. Now, you should not be focusing more on trying to turn as much as possible, versus you should be focusing on exhaling and only turning as much as your body allows you while keeping your belly button pointed straight at the ground. So your hips and your belly button should still point straight at the ground. You're only focusing on turning the upper part of your body, only your shoulders, and you're really focusing on getting a nice thoracic stretch down your spine. And this is probably my favorite exercise for relieving back pain altogether, because it works so well. The diaphragmatic breathing, along with getting that thoracic stretch in there, works extremely well. So make sure you are blowing out as much as you can, and you should feel a nice deep stretch down in your lat, probably down around here when you do this right there. You should feel a nice stretch down in here, and then you're gonna do the same thing. Other side, outward, externally rotate that shoulder, drive it back, down, point that elbow towards the ground, breathe out, keeping your belly button pointed towards the ground, only focusing on turning your shoulder, stretch it or turn as much as you can, but more so focusing on that exhalation. And then so I would get into some foam rolling right here, but instead I'm gonna save some of your time, and I'm just gonna put a little white, this link up here. This is going to be all about foam rolling. You can go up here and you can see how to foam roll your quads out. You just wanna make sure that you are getting all 4 muscles in your quads and you're rolling them out nice and deep, so that you can basically release that fascia that builds up, that makes that muscle nice and tight, and you loosen that up, and that's going to allow some stress to be relieved from the front of your pelvis so that it starts to loosen there. But then the next thing that I wanna show you is a couple of exercises that you can do to pre-stimulate your glute muscles, and these are just going to be pretty simple exercises. The first one, and the reason, like I said, to pre-stimulate your glute muscles is if we're trying to get that pelvic neutral, because the pinched muscles are coming from that anterior tilt. So when we loosen up the front, it's going to want to come up a little bit and go into neutral. But then when we strengthen the back, that's going to pull your pelvis back down from the back, therefore making that neutral more attainable. So pre-stimulating your glute muscles is not only going to strengthen them, but it's also going to allow you to stimulate them easier when you're going to do something like squats when they're pre-stimulated. So this is gonna help with that. It's gonna help your glute muscle become more dominant rather than your quads. So first one is just going to be a hip thrust. So with this, you want to dig your heels into the ground, and you want to make sure that you are driving your knees outward as you squeeze your butt up, and you really want to contract your glute muscles there, back down to the ground. You can do this for 10 reps, and then what you want to do after that is you can get into single leg glute bridges, where you're just going to basically put up one leg, and then from here you're going to squeeze up with that one glute that still has the foot on the ground. You can go 10 each leg there, and then you can go switch legs, 10 right there. And then after that, what you do is flip over into a tabletop position, and you're gonna go with your legs out to the side, just like that. I'll show you from up front on. You wanna make sure that you are staying in that neutral position right there. You're not tucking down, you're not tucking in, and then you wanna stay in that position, and you can put your foot out to the side straight, and you can go up like that, or you can just put it out to the side bent like this, and you can drive it outward, just making sure that you are contracting that glute muscle. You're gonna do that for 10 reps to each side. And then if your gym has, let's say the abductor machine, where you basically just drive your knees outward and then you let them push you back inwards. But all of these exercises are going to help you just activate your glute muscles so that when you are going to do exercises, you are using those, stimulating those a little bit easier so that they can help strengthen them without your quad muscles just continuing to be used more and more and more and continue to be the dominant force, which is just going to make your back pain worse and worse. So if you're experiencing low back pain, try this out, roll out your quads, strengthen and pre-stimulate your glute muscles, and then implement some diaphragmatic breathing. This diaphragmatic breathing has literally changed my life when it comes to low back pain, and I really think that it could change yours too if you just consistently do it. It's all about consistency. If you start to do it and the pain starts to go away, naturally you stop doing it and then the pain comes back. But if you get in a routine of doing this before all your workouts, what you're gonna find is that pressure, that pinching that you're feeling going on in your lower back, it starts to naturally go away when you strengthen the right muscles and get the right stretches going on. So try this out. Let me know how you guys are liking it. If you are looking for more tips and tricks in the gym and how to get in shape, I do have a free body type quiz where you basically put in the info about yourself. What shape are you in? What are your goals? What are you struggling with? It's a quick 30-second thing, and then it spits out a video. And it's a free video with the 3 most important things that you need to be doing based on what your specific goals are. So what one person might be trying to do to put on muscle will definitely not get the same 3 tips as somebody looking to lose 20 pounds. So it's definitely preferred to, or specified to, what your preferences are. So if you want to check out that, you can click the link in the description right below this video. Other than that, if you guys like this video, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up below. And also, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and the little notification bell right next to the subscribe button. That way you actually get notified when I post a new video. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.